Look, if you're watching this right now, there is a very, very good chance your desk is completely covered in gorgeous notebooks and totally untouched to-do lists. And I'm willing to bet that staring at all those blank checkboxes brings on a pretty heavy, familiar wave of guilt. Okay, let's dive right into this. Why are your notebooks so full, but the boxes stay unchecked? Honestly, you probably just assume you're disorganized or slacking off, but looking at this through the lens of a clinical psychologist reveals something absolutely amazing. You aren't being lazy. Your brain is literally using the physical act of writing as a highly sophisticated survival mechanism. Society loves telling us that an unfinished list means you completely lack discipline. We're so used to treating the human mind like a computer that constantly needs optimizing. But the clinical reality, it's far more forgiving and way more fascinating. This obsessive list-making isn't a flaw. It's actually a profound form of emotional regulation known as cognitive offloading. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is this core concept of cognitive load. Basically, it's the total amount of mental effort and simultaneous jobs you're managing at any given second. Think of your working memory kind of like a remarkably small mental workbench. You only have so much physical space in your brain before that workbench literally collapses under the weight. Just think about what's actually cluttering up that workbench on a random Tuesday morning. You've got work stress, unpaid bills, the mental gymnastics of deciphering a weird text message, and all those heavy, unspoken family expectations. Writing a massive list isn't about productivity at all. It's a desperate, entirely necessary attempt to clear some space on that workbench before you experience a total mental collapse. By writing all these things down, you're doing what psychologists call externalizing the load. You are physically dragging the chaos out of your head and trapping it on a piece of paper where it can no longer actively harm you. It's a brilliant act of psychological self-preservation. You're moving an overwhelming mental weight into a safe external space. I want you to really sit with this for a second. When does the intense urge to write a massive list actually hit you the hardest? It almost never strikes when you're feeling perfectly joyful. No, it hits you when you feel trapped. It strikes when your life feels completely unpredictable or totally chaotic. You write that list to build an escape hatch from your own anxiety. And this brilliantly illustrates what clinical psychologists call compensatory behavior. It's when you use a concrete, totally controllable action to try and manage feelings that are fundamentally out of your control. You cannot control the global economy, but you know what? You can absolutely control how neatly you organize bullet points on a fresh piece of paper. It gives your nervous system a tiny, momentary hit of absolute agency to fight off the dread. Let's look at the incredible biological trick happening inside your body here. When you write out a highly detailed plan, your brain releases dopamine. That's the exact same feel-good chemical you get from eating chocolate. Your brain absolutely loves the illusion of order. Simultaneously, that piece of paper acts like a giant panic sponge, significantly dropping your body's cortisol levels. The stress is quite literally absorbed by the paper, so you don't have to carry it anymore. So the crucial point is this: you don't leave those little boxes unchecked because you're a failure. You leave them unchecked because the list already did its job. You got your dopamine reward, you successfully lowered your cortisol, and your nervous system feels completely satisfied. The mental urgency drops immediately, and your exhausted mind can finally get some rest. We really need to embrace this paradigm shift today. That piece of paper, it is not a to-do list. It is an anxiety dump. If you have a desk covered in half-finished planners, stop letting people make you feel like you're somehow defective. Finding a harmless, quiet way to soothe your own anxiety is not a weakness. It is supreme resourcefulness in a world that constantly demands way too much of you. So here is your practical prescription for tomorrow morning. First, just notice that undeniable urge to write an impossible 30-item list. Second, give yourself full guilt-free permission to write it all out. Go for it. And finally, treat that piece of paper as safe storage for all the mental noise. You are simply changing the outside to give your mind baseline peace on the inside. You aren't procrastinating, and you certainly aren't broken. You just know exactly how to safely externalize your mental chaos so you can survive the day. To wrap up our explainer today, I have a provocative question for you. How many unfinished lists or half-used notebooks are sitting on your desk right now? Count them up and drop that number in the comments below. I read all of them. And hey, if this breakdown finally made your chronic habits make sense, subscribe to the channel. I'll see you in the next one.